It is the breakfast wrap. We've got Liam McCowan joining us for the first time. John Gibbons settling ourselves in for this one. After it's all got a bit sad. It's got a bit acrimonious for the Scots. There's a lot of online beef. Steve Clarke didn't interview very well post-match, it's worth saying. Andy Robertson going off injured at half-time, John. It all feels a little dismal, and qualification does feel a teeny bit like a distant dream.
Yeah, I don't think they'll qualify. I had a little look and they're currently 7th, but obviously a lot of teams haven't played yet, so the 8 go through. They're currently 7th now. A couple of teams who are above them might, on 3 points, might lose, and then their goal difference then gets worse.
Yeah.
So you can't just guarantee that the 6 above them will go through, but it's you can see how the groups are shaping up. And listen, this is new. We don't know this. We don't know how many points it'll take or what it'll take, but you know. In the 2 other groups that are settled, the third place teams have got 4 points.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that is notable to me, really. So it's not looking good for them, and they were just poor. I ended up staying up to watch it. I was in an hour and I went to bed at 3-0 because I thought, well, that's quite enough of that. But
that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, when Cunha scored, I was like, that's enough. But it's tough for them, really, because I think as soon as the draw was made and you were looking at it, you're looking at Brazil in Miami in the heat and thinking that's going to be really hard. Like you knew it would be, and so I think whatever they did, it was going to be difficult. They were trying to play, they were trying to keep the ball. I could understand that because you might say, well, why are you trying to play like that? You can't play like that. Just kick it up the pitch. But I think they were just worried about just chasing Brazil around in that heat, and getting exhausted that way. So I think the idea was to rest on the ball, and it was working until it didn't.
Yeah.
And that was the frustrating thing. That sometimes they were doing it and it looked quite good. They were passing around, and then I always felt that the centre halves was a bit of a weak link for them. Whoever they picked and it's them two who end up sort of making the mistakes for, well, the first goal and then the second goal that then wasn't a goal, but then they still sort of gifted to them. And you could criticise them to say, oh, well, teams have been criticised in the past in the Premier League. Well, why are you trying to play when you're not good enough to do it type thing? But I think whatever they did, I think they were going to struggle, because if they'd have just hoofed it up, then they'd have just been chasing around and I think that would have been tough for them anyway. So it was maybe always going to be hard, but when it's individual mistakes that cost you against such a good team. And it was interesting watching Brazil play like a Premier League team, but then 5 of the front 6 were Premier League players.
Yeah, well,
and so you think, well, yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense that they do. So they've got 5 Premier League players chasing around, and then Vinicius Junior, one of the best players in the world, who's there ready to kick it in. And so they couldn't believe the luck. I don't think they were licking the lips, thinking, well, we can have a right go at these. And also, I imagine from a Scottish point of view, getting out fought a little bit isn't great. You know what I mean? Because when you're Scotland, you accept that certain teams are going to have more flair or whatever, or maybe attacking threat. But watching a few of them just get barged off the ball, by these silky Brazilians, I can't imagine went down too well. Where you mentioned it getting a bit acrimonious there. I think seeing if Brazil are doing rondos round you and stuff like that, you'd accept that might happen. But if they're stronger in the challenge and knocking you off the ball, then I don't know. You wonder whether they needed to be on the iron brew. The mistake they made was going to go and do that deal with Pepsi. I'm sorry. It was just after that. You can't expect to see a full throttle Scottish performance.
No, you can't.
You're going to go away from your roots.
Going to go away from your core authenticity. Yeah. Leon, as I say, it has ended up a bit acrimonious. The manager does give a grumpy interview post.
Horrendous.
It was horrendous, wasn't
Walking away. It's not good luck, is it?
And he just sort of finds himself, I think. I think that because of the build, because of how it felt to everyone, and also I think a little bit because it is 32 from 48, I think everyone had really wanted, and I think we all wanted them to get out of a group for the first time. And I think that the crushing realisation that they'll probably not manage that, I think, has done them all in.
It has, but you'd have to think about what it looked like at the start. They had 2 top 10 teams in their group. It was going to be tough anyway. They just scraped past Haiti. It's definitely disappointing for them, and we all want Scottish lads drinking all the ale bar, the Bud Light, and all the pubs around America for as long as they possibly can. But it's probably the relative of what they're looking at is really interesting. I don't know if you noticed Ian Wright's comments around
really
Scottish
good.
football, which was really good. It seemed out of the blue for him, but it was really good. They have, and one of the things I've been dead impressed with the World Cup recently is how good a lot of the teams are. You know, your Haiti, your Curaçao, all of them ones. They play good football, they do some decent stuff. They've got a bit of an identity, and like you said about Scotland, I'm not sure what their identity was there. They didn't seem to have a way of playing. They didn't seem to, you know, come and out-muscle people. They just kind of tried to knock the ball about it. And when you get caught out with mistakes, 70 seconds in the Morocco game for a goal and you're asleep, 2, 3, how many mistakes they made against Brazil, you're going to get punished a bit against the big side. So it's disappointing for them, but it's not surprising. I don't think they got the worst draw out of all of them.
I think they definitely got the worst draw, John. I think there's a little thing, the identity thing, that point that Leon makes there that you've also alluded to. I think there's a bit of a thing here where I think they end up, when you look at them, they just sort of fall between all the stools. In that I don't think they are big enough and physical enough to decide, well, we're gonna have it in amongst you. So, you know, you were saying in the warm-up games, they went more expansive and they played more stuff, and maybe if that had been the approach through the groups, they might still have got battered by somebody, if you know what I mean. But also I think everyone would have felt a bit more like they're having a good time. And I always, you know, there's an old Sean Rogers line who said this of the World Cup back when it was 32 teams. He made the point 31 aren't winning it. But what all 31 should want is to get away feeling like, well, we've said something of ourselves and the way in which we want to go about it. And I just sort of feel as though where this has ended up for Clark and for a few of those players, if they don't get through, and as I say, it's still possible, it's unlikely I think, but if it's still possible, but if they don't get through, they'll feel as though they never really showcased something that they could have been about. I think they miss Gilmore as well, by the way.
Yeah, they do. Although Ferguson had a good tournament and probably comes in for him, you would have thought. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I think for Steve Clarke, you wonder what's sort of going on with him there, because it's not a great interview, and I don't want to criticise him too much because, you know, it's a horrible time to have to do interviews.
Yeah, we always say it.
None of us have ever been in that position where you've watched, you know, you've got all your high hopes, you've watched the team basically, you know, throw the game away, and then suddenly someone sticks a microphone in your face, and it's dead humid.
Yeah.
And you're a bit grouchy anyway, just because you're dead hot. And so there's all that sort of going on for him, but it did look to me like he was sort of almost like distancing himself from it, which I don't really like when any leader does, really, in any walk of life, but certainly not a football manager. He's like, oh, you know, it was like, well, they've gone out there and they've made the mistakes, and sort of what are you meant to do? And it almost felt like, to me, I wondered whether, you know, watching him, whether he's felt under pressure to be a bit more attacking. There's been loads of talk in the media, amongst the fans, and maybe even amongst the players of how defensive they've been. You know, I think they had the lowest number of shots out of anyone in the first 2 rounds in the whole World Cup. And certainly you look for the stats for their group, they were fourth in every attacking metric. But I think for a few of those, they were bottom in terms of the entire World Cup. So maybe he's felt under pressure, maybe a little bit internally as well, to go a bit more attacking in that game, to pick Gannon Doak, you know, to go with Shanklin, to pick this kind of like more expansive team, and then he's a bit like, well, see, you know, there's maybe a little bit of that. That's how he sort of came across to me, but I don't think that's sort of a great way to be. And like I said, I don't think going ultra defensive in this game and just hoofing it up would have done them any favours anyway, because you just run around for people in the heat. It was always going to be tough. Like Leon said, they had a sort of really tough group, but you'd still have loved them for all that support. The people who are travelling out there, the people obviously who are in Scotland as well, you know, staying at home but filling the pubs or whatever. You'd love to see them show more. And like you say, it feels like most other teams in the World Cup have managed to. Aside from maybe Tunisia, there's not been many who've like sort of really, you know, disappointed. You know,
astonishingly, South Africa have got out of the group.
I can't believe it.
I feel like someone should step in.
Yeah. I don't know sort of how that's happened, but I mean, they played well. Fair play. I don't think Korea quite knew what to do.
So, did you watch the highlights? I haven't seen any of this one.
I watched the highlights this morning, yeah, and it looked like Korea wants to play for a point, and South Africa had a real go, which I think took them by surprise. And so then they tried to bring some of the big guns on. Sun sort of came on, but it was the momentum of the game was sort of against them. South Africa played really well, but I thought they were crap in the first 2 games. But Qatar go out with a point. but it's the first point they've ever got in a World Cup, and so they were the first team to go out Qatar, but they're probably looking at it and thinking, well, do you know what, we had a decent go in all of our games. We had a decent go. We scored a great goal. You know, a huge moment. It's you know, we've hosted a tournament, didn't get a point, and now we've got one. So that, you know, you're able to have these positive moments. Whereas for Scotland
and the Czechs, Czechia have gone out as well, and they feel a bit the same, Leon. They're pretty grim. They've gone out having scored 2 goals, only got themselves 1 point. Scotland, 1 fewer goal, but have got 3 points. And I think a couple of the European teams, to me, actually look a little stale in comparison to what's happening elsewhere, where it does feel as though the side's playing with a bit more exuberance or with a really good plan.
I think it's a big wake-up call for European clubs this World Cup to see European sides, to see how far a lot of the other teams have come. You know, the African teams. You know, there's that famous video with the kid in the wall kicking the ball 30 years ago when it was the other team's free kick. You see how good the African teams are now. You see the smaller nations, Haiti and stuff like that, Curacao, who've done some stuff, and a lot of the European teams do.
Egypt are currently top of a group that Belgium are in, and Egypt look better than Belgium.
Yeah. It's a worrying sign for Europe, who've been, you know, inventors of football, and, you know, the first clubs sides that played it, and they've dominated it for so long, and they've taken it to some far-flung places in the last few years, and European clubs have been left wanting, and it's a stark reality. There doesn't seem to be progress. If you have a look at, you know, the likes of the African nations who've really come on, and some of the players are amazing. Scotland have been playing football, international football, for over 100 years, and they've completely stagnated and not moved anywhere, where all these other smaller nations, I think Haiti have got a similar size thing, you know, to Manchester or something mad like that. Yet they're managing to get teams and decent players. Obviously, some of them are finding some of them on LinkedIn and stuff like that, but it is a bit of a warning for European football. I think they may have become a bit complacent with the whole thing.
When you look at in Africa, and you know, Cameroon and Nigeria didn't even qualify.
Yeah.
And the massive teams, and you know, they might have had some problems in qualification and things like that. But I know they both went into the playoffs. So neither of them topped the group, and then they go out in the playoffs. And you think, you know, World Cups when we were growing up, they were always in there, and not just in there, but doing well. Obviously, Cameroon reached the quarterfinals in 19. Nigeria have had a couple of tournaments where they've had good runs, and they've still got good players. You know, certainly Nigeria have, but they're not qualifying now, so they may be resting on the laurels a little bit and thinking, oh, we'll be fine, we'll walk through this. But other countries are emerging, like Leon says, they're being smart in terms of how they're recruiting, you know, as well. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough for Scotland, though. You never know. Listen, you don't know how it's going to sort of play out. But they didn't look like a team who, certainly the manager didn't look like a man who thought like he was going to.
But actually, feel like it feels really weird to say now, Leon, because the way that it works. If they do go through, there won't be that sort of residual moment of feeling like it's great you've done something on the pitch. It'll almost now feel like it's someone else has fucked up and we've ended up there by default, and that energy sort of does dissipate. Now listen, you can always get it back, and footballers are footballers and they can pull that out the bag, but the way in which it's gone does make it feel as though if they did get in, it'd almost feel like they were going, oh, one more then, eh? Rather than let's go and have a laugh.
And we've all seen Denmark win the Euros, you know, when you get in on a dodgy call
on the beach.
Sometimes it can be something completely different. I think I had a little look this morning. I think they've got to have two teams lose tonight. I think it's Curacao and Ecuador. They need Australia to win by 2 clear goals, and that's just going into the weekends games and stuff like that. So it does look like it's almost out of the.
There's when you get later on, there's a few groups where there's teams. Well, I think Senegal's one they've got no points, and there's another team with no points. So they'll be hoping, well, if that's a draw, then you're fine. And there's a couple of others where 2 teams have got 1 point, and so yeah, it does open up a little bit later if they can sort of hang in there for possibilities. There is chance there, but I said it's going to be really good. And if by some miracle they do get through, then they're going to need to be playing a lot better.
They are going to need to be playing a lot better. Listen, what else have we got elsewhere coming through in the comments? It is remarkably hot today. There is absolutely loads across the country, so do look after yourself and take care of whatever's going on across the water there. Dublin, 21 degrees. Going to be another scorcher. Factor 50 all round. He says Factor 50 is one of the reasons why I'm sticking to the stickers currently. Right in front of me, I don't want to put my hand down on the table. It is driving me mad. Busy is he's got clear blue skies, and it looks like it's going to be hot again in the Heathrow airport area of West London. I just think it's always hot in the Heathrow airport area of West London. 22 degrees in Kerry, says Simon. It's a drizzly day, but traffic's fine in Sydney. Which is good to know, and that is getting sorted out. The weather's going to pick up at some point soon. Someone's put in there, God bless you, Aussies. We are praying for your weather to pick up.
Well, yeah, I know, they've had it so tough for so long. Craig's gone back to Belfast, and he said it's 10 degrees less and raining. And I'm like, what are you up to? You can see Belfast, practically. If you go out to the Mersey now, on a clear day, you can fucking, how's it? And he's like, it's just fucking our country, lad.
It's
10 degrees less than raining.
10 degrees less, Leon, I think we'd probably all deal on. But the idea of raining, it just doesn't feel possible. How can there be rain anywhere near here?
It seems unfair. I think they're saying 36, 37 degrees today or something crazy like that, aren't they?
Yep.
No, I'm not looking forward to that. Not looking forward to that. First day I've been in work without a three-piece suit on in about 15 years.
I wanted to know whether or not you were going to wear the uniform.
No.
You were going to come in full kit and go from there.
I drive past a couple of schools on the way in, and they've all got in PE kit, which I think is just really smart.
Boxing clever.
Yeah. So it's like, just something light. So it was mad just seeing them all go into school.
Crazy though, aren't we complaining about this and we save up all year to go 2 weeks in the sun?
Oh no, I'm not. I mean, other than the fact that when it's dangerous for people, I'm not complaining about it at all. I'm bang into it. I got up early this morning to get me washing it in, done, out, hung out, getting it all boxed off. Got ahead of the game. It's all there now. I actually got a bit worried about the wind coming in. Like, have I pegged that firmly enough? Because I've been quite complacent. It's just a very hot day.
No wonder you don't have time to watch South Africa.
Exactly. No.
Much to do.
When it went 3-0, to be honest with you, with the Scotland game, I was almost a bit relieved because I was like, you can just go to bed now.
Yeah.
The Scotland have sorted that out for you.
I didn't make it past half time, mate. Once that second goal went in, just before.
Well, I was meant to go up at half time, and then I just sort of just stayed on the sofa. You just don't move, and then you're like, oh, well, here we go, the game's starting again here. Yeah, so carried on, but Cunha's goal was night.
Clive's been back on. It got to 39 degrees yesterday in the Isle of Wight. It's going to cool down a little bit, which is good. The Isle of Wight is cooking. Someone said on here as well. Where are we? What else have we got? Anyone else got anything else in? Nope. Traffic. It's pretty horrendous around Eastham. Just so you know, on the Newchester Road. So don't be taking any chances if you're that end. As you're moving in through Bromborough and into Hooton, it's been pretty backed up there. And not great around Walton as well, John.
There's roadworks there by the Derby Arms.
Yep.
Yeah, it's four-way traffic lights there at the moment. Yeah, so they're digging that up. So you've got to be careful around the Derby Arms. Yeah.
And Upper Parliament and the Strand, it's just got a lot worse in the last 5 minutes.
How's it all the time? At the time we leave, well.
Yeah, according to the AA, it's got a lot worse in the last 5 minutes. It's gone from a yellowy orange to a very dark red, and that just does not bode well.
No one needs dark red on any maps.
No, you never need to see some dark red. That's where we're up to with the travel. We'll be back with more in a minute or two, but before then we've got a clip from The Shape, which is a tactical show that I do with the wonderful Sean Rogers, and here we are talking about the way in which Iriola may well set his side up.
It's interesting to me how flexible he's been across the 2 seasons in terms of changing his build-up. You see a lot of, obviously, the goalkeeper, the 2 centre-backs splitting. That triangle there is pretty much a mainstay. And it's interesting, against the teams where they've had the greatest possession, the top 5 at home, their XG has been really quite good in those games. Their XG goal difference in those games has been really, really good. But the actual end results haven't been. I think they've won 1, drawn 4.
Yep.
So to get 7 points out of 15 when you're dominating the ball, I think against Burnley they have 17 shots and have 1 on target off the top of my head. So it'd be interesting to speak to Iriola and say, is that because you have the 9 and 10 there aren't Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak, as an example? Is that because you lose Semenyo? Is that because those games are just so difficult and you are lacking that execution? Is there maybe something you've learned from that you would do something different tactically? Or is he saying it's only a sample of 5 games?
Yep.
If that was 50, it would have reverted to mean. I mean, the XG against West Ham is absolutely off the charts. I think they get 3.66 against something like 1.66. Like, they should win that game with ease. Ends 2-2. The numbers are in his favour that maybe they should have got better results in them. But I found it very interesting that Evan Nielsen on StatsBomb, if you ever look at the pass networks we put up, you'll quite often see Evan Nielsen in blue. which basically just means he's not involved that much. Most of what Bournemouth have been doing...
Small circle in blue, that's what you see.
So much of this has been triangles and combinations out wide, and something you alluded to in part 1 of this show. If you haven't watched it, please go and have a look. When Iriola's being interviewed by Peter McDowell, he talks about, and he did a similar interview with Miguel Delaney, where he says, I understand we have to be organised, I understand we need patterns of play, but it can't be the only thing that we do. There are times when the player has to see either there's nothing else on or there's an opportunity for me to be direct and to go 1v1. And he may feel that at Liverpool he'll have more of them difference makers 1v1 than perhaps he had available at Bournemouth.
Great stuff from Sean there. Absolutely brilliant as ever to have him come in and talk to us about tactical bits and pieces and how this is likely to work for Liverpool. Got some a little bit of Liverpool-based question in amongst this. Actually said, Gareth Matthews says, excellent show with Josh earlier as well. That'll be the one with the trends where we went through the wingers, which by the way was one hell of an edit. So well done to Milo for scaling that Mount Everest. Jordan's laughing his head off there in the background because he knows what everyone went through to pull that one together. If we sign Diamandi and we're sticking with Gakpo, Ingamo and Muno, who else do you think should be chased to add to that, if any? What do you think?
I don't know, but do you know what? I was watching Brazil last night, obviously, watching Brazil v Scotland, and you're watching it, and the right winger, what's his name? His name's the Bournemouth winger who plays for Brazil.
Yeah, Ryan,
yeah, you're watching Ryan, and you're like, why didn't we buy him? And I was watching it, I was thinking of your line, which is there's loads of good footballers.
Yep.
And I was watching Ryan pressing like a monster. He's huge.
He is huge.
He's rapid. He knows where the goal is. And you're just like, why didn't we buy him in January? Why did Bournemouth have to sell a winger and go, oh, don't worry, here we go. Boom. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
what it looks basically is good.
Yeah. And so why are Bournemouth able to do that so easily? And we're like, oh, what are you meant to do? And so I got really annoyed, kind of like watching him really, because I thought, well, we took their sporting director, and it's you in this situation. So the answer to who we should buy is just do your fucking job, lads, because there's footballers out there, and we've got committed South American scouts apparently. I want to see the report. So we've got scouts just for South America. So I want on my desk in the morning.
He's off tomorrow. Don't take him seriously. You'd have to rush. You'd have to do a rush.
Yeah. By Monday, I want on my desk the report from Ryan from our alleged South American scouts and what it said. Because presumably it was like, oh, quite good, we'll monitor it. Where his Bournemouth went, no, we'll buy him, he's dead good and he's ready. And then suddenly now he's playing for Brazil in World Cups. And so yeah, I got pissed off watching him because we were crying out for wide players and apparently there was none.
I always find it...
Sorry, I turned that into a rant.
It's all right, don't worry at all.
Rant away. I always find it interesting because we talk about the pressure at Liverpool and the pressure for the player and stuff like that, and I'm guessing there must be more pressure for them guys upstairs, so they're a bit more risk averse to taking a chance on one of these lads and stuff like that. But like last year we signed some killers, and I just think we need fillers this year. I think we need to be able to bring lads up, not who are massively brilliant from the bench, but who just keep you about the same to see out that last 20-30 minutes. And I don't think, everyone was kicking off the other day about Munoz, sorry, you'll say the right pronunciation.
Yeah, you got told properly to
Munoz. My missus goes mad when I say Chirito.
I know, I hate it. Joe Shot does it. What a batter.
But I think that's what we need, is some of them 35-40 million players who will fill out a bench, so we haven't got kids that we've got to drag on there, and then let the likes of Isaac and Vert and stuff like that really come to the fore, because I think we've got the players there, and obviously we can say that we're threadbare and we're short, and we are, but we don't need loads of 100 million players.
Is one of them though, is what I would say.
100%.
That's why I think we were all quite buoyed by it, because it really felt like it is one of them. They've thought it through, they've got the release clause, they've got a plan, you can see what it is that he had. So I think that is, I think that feels to me like a boxing clever sign. One of your sort of filler feels a bit sort of harsh. The lad could come and he could really find a really strong level. For me, it feels a bit like a Luis Garcia signing. And that was on a release release clause as well years ago in Rafa's first season. So I feel as though he could bode really, really well. But your point is, well, that's the sort of thing that you'd like to see them do a little bit of.
I think we've got enough wiggle room in the quality that we've already got to be able to give a few of them a few games in and a few games out. There's is it Stuttgart, the Spanish lads? He's only 21 or 22. He's like a CDM.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
He's only played 16 games, though.
He's not played loads. I agree with you, but that's the kind of thing we should be doing, is taking a risk on him. So he plays 3 or 4 games, you can bring him out. We've got plenty of other midfielders we could play in there. I think a few more of them would be really useful. I'm, all up for signing Diamande. He does look, he's possibly got that generational thing to him at 19 years old, the way he just goes past people. He looks 5 or 6 years older than Ingamoa, doesn't he, in terms of his ability and his development and stuff like that. But I'd be more interested in some of them. I think sometimes it's thought of as lazy to pick some lads up from relegated teams, but there must be 1 or 2 from Wolves and Burnley and the others who we could add to bolster. I really like Gertrude, and I'm going to throw that out there. I know lots of people are adamant that he couldn't get a game for Sunderland, so he shouldn't, but I think he's versatile enough and cheap enough to be able to come in.
Do a little bit for us. Harry Hickman points out, John, isn't this largely because we focus on the Ryans that work when they pick them up and ignore the 2 or 3 that have to go out on loan or take an extra year? For instance, they did Adley last summer as well, Bournemouth, and it's not gone quite as well. Brentford buy a lot of lads who have really strong second seasons. I think that is worth pointing out, that maybe you've got to come in and play for us. It is a little bit different. The thing with Ryan, though, is you do from the first time you saw him kicking for Bournemouth, you were like, he looks so good and he looks so Premier League ready.
I'm not saying that Bournemouth get everything right, and I'm not saying that they've got these incredible super scouts, because I think clubs have made this mistake in the past, and then they've got the there's been this, there was a fellow at Southampton, wasn't he? I can't remember when it was named today, and then Everton took him, and then they realised that he just had a decent one of buys, and there's been a few of those. Newcastle, the guy they put on the, it was Alan Karstad, wasn't it? When it was suddenly he was the genius. So I don't think there's these geniuses out there who are just able to identify amazing players all the time. I think sometimes you go on a decent run, and there is a bit of chance to it. I think the point I was just trying to make is that your basic one, there are just footballers out there, and when you're told that there aren't, and who's told that there's no deals to be done, and then another club do a deal for a player who looks ready to play for Liverpool, that's where I get frustrated. Not that I think every transfer should be a success. It's when you don't try and you're almost kind of like gaslit into saying, well, there just aren't the players out there. Well, he was out there and he was available, and now he's playing in World Cups. If
only there's an opportunity for us to see a load of players who are all decent at the same time for a couple of months.
It's great, isn't it? Class.
And go from there. It's interesting. I did a couple of chats for just speaking to other supporters. So I did Luke Davies on Everton and Jack Collins on Fulham yesterday. I'm going to do James Roach straight after this. Always looking forward to speaking to James, and that'll be out later on today for subscribers. John, it was a two really interesting conversations, both on and then when you have the little chat off air as well with the two of them, because Everton have kept the manager, and it's worth saying Everton don't win in the last 7. I think you sort of forget that, and you really feel as though that season just peters out for them there. Luke doesn't want to see a change of manager, but it's interesting, sometimes you're chatting to someone and they're basically preparing the ground for the moment when they will say, I think we need to change the manager here.
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't feel like it's right to say I want to change the manager, so won't, but if he had something on, if he realised he was too busy to do it, he had loads of washing to do, and someone else come in, I wouldn't be too disappointed.
But the flip side of that, though, is Fulham have lost theirs.
Yeah.
And Jack's, hugely concerned. He's concerned on the show. Really looks like it will be Arbeloa. We're just waiting for that to be confirmed at the minute, but it looks like it will be Arbeloa. And he's like, it's some risk, this.
Yeah.
If this fella had basically managed a League One team and then somehow got given Liverpool and it went not that well, and it ends with players fighting, and then suddenly he went, and now he's Fulham manager. But he said, obviously because it's Alvaro Arbeloa and it's Spain and it's Real Madrid, it feels to a few people like it's a bit more exotic. But his worry is this is the sort of appointment that in 3 years' time, I think the way he was framing it, in 3 years' time, when everyone's saying, where did it start to go wrong for Fulham? It's here. And that is his concern. But it's interesting because, as I say, we've made our change with our fella we're all really enthused about. Fulham have made a change or had a change imposed upon them, but don't look like they're prepared for anything. And Everton are sticking with, but there's not a ton of enthusiasm there.
Yeah, for a lot of these clubs, it's difficult, isn't it? Because there's almost two roads you can take. There's the road where you kick on, or there's the road where you slip back, and standing still is very difficult, sort of, in itself. But the problem with those two roads is that one of them is much, much harder than it is the other. Like, one of them is massively uphill, and there's loads of snakes, and it's very, very difficult. Rubble all over the gaff, and then the other one, the one where you slip down. But if you go down that a little bit, then suddenly you're rolling and you can't stop, and so it's tough. I would be, sometimes when you speak to fans of other clubs and they're concerned, you're almost like, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. You might not finish quite as high as you did last year, but you'll be fine. But I get it, with more so with Fulham. I actually do think Everton will be fine, but with Fulham it does feel like there's potential for it to go wrong quite quickly, and they've done so well to become this established Premier League club, but things can change. Arbeloa, it is a massive risk. I'm prepared to not look too much into his time at Real Madrid, because it is so mad. They're same as I always said that with Alonso. But the problem with Arbeloa is, if you write off Alonso's time at Real Madrid, well, he's just got labor. Because
when he won a season unbeaten and won a league.
If you write off Arbeloa's time, well, what else has he got? Do you know what I mean? He's almost like, no, let's go back to that. Remember that time at beat Levante? He's sort of, that's like his whole CV. So you can't, well, not his whole CV, but a lot of it. I believe he's very impressive. So when you talk to him, he's got these big ideas, and he can sell a vision. So if he's able to do that to the players, it might help. But the thing for me, when I saw, Harry Wilson sign for Leeds, and you're like, well, it's not a step up, that. And when
not on paper.
Yeah. And so, who knows, they could be completely weighing him in, but I doubt he's on like mega money. So when you look at that and you think, well, he's one of their best players, has been for a long time. He's going, if he was going to, a much bigger club, you'd say, well, fair play. But going to Leeds United, who Fulham have finished ahead of, I would say, every year for 20, then, I'm prepared to be corrected on that, and I'm sure someone will if it's not true, but it feels like they've fairly consistently, let's say, finished above them for 20 years, then I think that's not a great sign.
The flip side of that is us, where it feels like there's just tons of enthusiasm. Everyone you speak to at the minute, I'm really enjoying it, to be honest with you. I think people are enjoying the World Cup, they're enjoying the summer. They might be enjoying the Foo Fighters later on, but there's a sense of everyone is a little bit like, can't wait to see them, can't wait to get back stuck in. And it's such a sea change. I was taking the time on holiday to reflect a little bit as to how everyone felt first week of May. And the way everyone feels first week of May to how everyone feels now, it's massively different, and I made up the enthusiasm back for everybody.
Classic example of a change as good as a rest with some stuff sometimes, isn't it, with he's come in. I think you mentioned Fulham before, and obviously we'll talk about us, but I think the difference between what Fulham are going to do with him and what we've done with Areola is that he comes with a philosophy, Areola. Like, you've watching his teams, and the appointment for Fulham with Arbeloa feels a little bit like that De Boer one with Palace, where it's just someone who used to be decent at footy, so let's give him a give him a throw. Whereas when they brought in Glasner, he had this proven system at Palace, so then he's been given the legs to run with that, and he's done that. And I think it feels very similar for me with Bournemouth ex-manager coming to us, is that you've seen he can do it at a good level, you see he's got a good play, you see his team play good football. I'm really excited to see how he does with better tools. He's clearly a good manager if you give him some better players, which, God bless Bournemouth, we've got, other than right wing, better players than them right now. I'm really excited to see how he helps our players get better, and improves the kind of stuff that we watch, because last year was fucking shite, wasn't it, watching us? Like, it was bad. I gave me ticket away so many times last year because I couldn't even be bothered going, whereas now my nephews are like, tickets next year, and I'm like, nah, you've got no chance, lads.
It's just to sort of sum it up, it almost, this feels like I've written in the agenda here because I couldn't think of any other words. John, I was trying to pull an agenda together last night. 3 sides of a coin. Everton, it is this, we pretty much know what we're going to get and we don't know if we like it. Fulham, this could go badly wrong. With us, listen, it can go wrong. Let's be clear, we've got to have the humility around that, and everyone's got to work hard, and the transfer stuff's got to come together. But I think that the first step is maintaining the enthusiasm. I think having everyone bounce into that first sort of 5 games before that international break, when we saw the fixtures, I just loved the look of them. I thought the first 5, they couldn't have been any kinder in terms of just being able to keep some feel good through for everybody in there. It then gets really hard. But if we've got a solid base and if we're all into it and we can see what it is the manager's trying to do with a couple of more new faces, then I just think I think this can snowball quite quickly. I want to get carried away, and it's not going to take much to get me carried away.
No, another nice thing about the World Cup, it's not just a break from watching your own team and just enjoying football, but a lot of the Liverpool players are doing really well, and it's a reminder that
we've got good players.
Yeah, there's plenty of good footballers, in this team and in this squad, and listen, we're looking at certain players and scouting, saying, how would he play for Liverpool? But I tell you what, if we didn't have Gakpo and we didn't have Gravenberch and you were watching that Holland team, you'd be like, fucking hell, I'd take them too. I think Gravenberch's been brilliant. Gakpo's obviously got more attention because he scored the goals, and a lot of people just watching the highlights because of the time of the games and things like that, and so Gakpo's been more eye-catching in that regard, but I think Gravenberch's been brilliant in this tournament, one of the outstanding midfielders, and so if you were watching them two, blind and they were being linked with Liverpool, you'd be absolutely delighted. And there's plenty of others as well who were playing really well. It's great to see Isak, looking so sharp. Obviously, they got a bit of a hammering out last time, Sweden, but as a forward, sometimes there's not a lot you can do about that. But all his combination play is his work, you're seeing him making tackles, you're seeing him dropping in and playing great passes, and it's a reminder of what a good footballer he is as well. And then there's plenty of others, out there in the World Cup who are playing well, and then a few who haven't, even gone who you'd love to see kick on too. So there's good footballers there. We'd love to keep adding to them. They've got one in, great. Go and get a few more. Give this manager every chance. But it is exciting, and there's definitely scope to do really well next year.
Excellent stuff. Right, something wonderful happened to me on Tuesday. Anu on my day, he came in to speak to me about gospel music. It's amongst the best things that I get to do in my job. So let's hear from that now. Delighted as ever to be joined by Anu to come and talk to us about what's happening at the Liverpool Lighthouse and gospel music and a live show. The live show is Saturday the 18th of July. You have no excuses if you're in Liverpool because the World Cup final's the next night. No one cares about the 3rd, 4th place playoff. No one. So you can get yourself along to the Tongue Auditorium. We'll come on to that in a minute or two. But how are things at the Lighthouse? What are you up to at the minute? How much gospel are you spreading into the world?
Oh, we're doing great stuff. So in terms of Lighthouse, as you know, it always serves the community. So we always have community programs. We have a Men in Their Sheds program. We have,
what does that entail?
Where the guys come in and they've their tools and they just use them to fix different things or what have you, all come together and do that. And we think that's really good because we don't know that men always like to come together in community. So that's really cool. And then we have other programs, for eSoul and artistic programs in terms of the arts proper, but also working with clothing and arts and crafts and stuff like that. But the work I do is with gospel music because we are an arts venue and we serve underrepresented communities as well as the community at large. And gospel as an underrepresented art form is really an uplifting one and a fulfilling one. And so we go into schools. We've probably gone into about 15 schools in Liverpool and the Liverpool City region so far. And we run these courses and they love it. The 6-week courses about just the history of gospel music and getting them to sing some songs. And the schools they call us back again and again. And we're going to come together on Thursday for a Gospel Schools Day. We've got 250 plus kids and teachers.
So we're going to put this out on Thursday. So it's today as the listeners are hearing this and the viewers are watching this.
Amazing.
Today, so you've got 250.
Kids, just secondary school children.
Wow.
Lots of boys as well. And the boys tend to sing the loudest, which I love. Because in different parts of the country, that's not the case.
Yeah.
But here, everyone goes for it. Really loud, just enjoying the genre and just being uplifted by the music, quite literally.
Absolutely brilliant. So that's this week, and that's what's been going on at the Lighthouse.
Yes.
But you're looking to continue to grow as much as possible. And part of the purpose of going out doing the shows is for people to get to experience gospel music, but it is also as part of raising money for the Lighthouse and for the choirs.
Exactly that. And I think you came to one of our shows and enjoyed
Christmas.
it at Christmas.
I had a ball.
Yeah. And it's just fun, isn't it? It doesn't matter what your background, faith, no faith. You can just come and enjoy it and just enjoy the music. I said to you afterwards,
so I in the end, I did get up and have a dance.
Yeah, I know, I saw you and I really loved that.
But I felt at first, because I'm quite big, And I always feel a bit like if I stand up and there's people behind and they can't see. And
no, but you know, that's the secret. So you just got to stand up. And that means everybody stands up and then they get going and just everyone has a good time. But that's the point of it. Everyone's just able to just feel free and enjoy it and go for it. And so, yes, we've got that show on the 18th of July. Please come. I know 3rd and 4th place are important, but
they're not important. They're not important. They're not important, I promise.
So you come along and just enjoy it and just have a good time.
You're working with the Tongue Auditorium.
We are.
How is working with the Tongue Auditorium? Because it looks like a really lovely space to perform in.
It is. It's a gorgeous space, and I've got to say, the organisation, you know, the university have been great.
Yeah.
So this is in partnership with them, you know, and they've really been supportive about putting it out and just supporting this as an art form. And we're really excited about doing some good music in that space. I think it's going to be awesome.
You've said repeatedly about gospel as an art form.
Yeah.
It is worth saying it is growing in the United
Absolutely.
Kingdom. There's more and more choirs.
Yes.
There's more and more gigs. I have kept my eye out.
Yes.
I do listen
Well,
from time to time. I do know,
I
you know,
love
when I came,
that.
I found out a couple of people in particular are really, really good.
Yeah.
And it also is underpinning a lot of other forms
That's
as well.
exactly right.
People come through gospel and might move on, might move into other genres, but gospel underpins them, and it's growing and growing in the UK.
That's exactly right. I mean, we think that 60 to 70% of mainstream artists will have gospel musicians in their team somewhere.
Yeah.
So 60 to 70% of the artists that you see will be supported by, you know, musicians, promoters, A&R, songwriters, what have you, that have been built up and developed in this genre. So it really does support the mainstream music industry in a really significant way.
And this event on the 18th, 7 p.m. start. Get
Yes.
there a little bit earlier, please.
Yes, please.
So we'll get comfortable and get ourselves sorted out at the Tongue Auditorium
Yes.
in Liverpool University. That is predominantly featuring choirs from the Liverpool City region.
It is, and you know, we just really love the support that we've had in relation to the gospel music coming out of Liverpool. As you say, it's a really fast-growing, popular art form. So it's the 4th largest growing art form in the States, and in this country, it's really, really significant. And so we wanted to really highlight and spotlight that work that's happening in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And so you've got Hayley Kincaid, the Wavertree Gospel Choir. You have the Lighthouse Choir. We did Comic Relief the other day and closed the show. We Love and Joy Gospel Choir. And then you've got some artists from across the country as well. A beautiful young lady called Tofumi, who was a BBC introducing artist and spotlighted on BBC Radio 2. So it's just, these things are just going on and on and on. It's going to be a great show.
And you?
Yes, I'll be there.
What are you doing? Are you singing or emceeing?
That's a good question. I'm not emceeing this time.
You're not emceeing?
No, it's a lot to do because I'm running half of those choirs and then putting on the whole show. So I asked myself, I was like, oh my gosh, am I really going to do all of that stuff again? And I just thought, you know what? There are so many great people in this city that can do that. So we've got Ganan Adamu, who works at BBC Radio Merseyside, doing the hosting. She'll be great.
But you're doing...
Yes. I'll be directing a couple of the choirs and I'll be singing as well.
Excellent stuff. So it is the 18th of July. It is at the Tongue Auditorium. It is a massive celebration of gospel music. Honestly, if you've got any chance of getting there, do be there. It is an absolute pleasure. You will definitely walk out with an enormous smile on your face, and you'll definitely have worked your hips if Anu's got anything to do with it. We'll see you later on. Welcome back. Great stuff from Anu later on today, on top of other things that are happening in the world of gigs. The Foo Fighters, or Foo Fighters, they're not being called the Foo Fighters, I believe. I've heard this recently. Foo Fighters are playing Anfield. Now, that in and of itself, people might be excited because Foo Fighters might have as many as 2 good songs. So I can understand why people might be eager to get down to Anfield for that, John. But the first support act is a Japanese all-girl punk band who Dave Grohl, to be fair to him, who does seem like, you know, a fella who's got very sound habits and tastes in music, called Otterboke Beaver. And I have seen them live, and I think they are going to be the best thing that's happened at Anfield this calendar year to date. Now, hopefully, someone will eclipse them in August and September, but I am a huge Otterboke Beaver fan, and I think it's going to be quite insane, and I don't know if everyone's prepared for the madness they're about to get.
They're probably not, are they? So, I mean, by the sounds of it, get in early. It's going to be hot.
Yeah.
And I get that, but get in early and check out the support.
Yeah, check out the support, genuinely. Very rarely I'd actually say that 100%. But also, we're going to see Robin. Are you going to see Robin at the weekend? No, okay, that's fine. Because a lot of people are. I just thought you might be, Leon. Do you know the supporters for Robin?
808 State.
808 State in Manchester, supporting Robin at the weekend. So I think that's also a getting early. And let's see what they're all about in Manchester before Robin.
Yeah, no, it's Saturday night. Should be good. Looking forward to going over to Manchester. I need a plan, but yeah, me and Adam Miller, excited.
Practically everyone's there.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolutely enormous. Can't wait for it. Will be the absolute business. Let me go through some transfer bits and pieces for you, Leon. Morgan Rogers has yet again been reasserted, this time by the Evening Standard, as Arsenal's top target for the summer. It feels as though there might be a bit of a charm offensive happening inside the England camp, which I'd be really pissed off about now if I supported Aston Villa. But Morgan Rogers, Arsenal's top target. I think they'd have to pay at least 100 million for him.
I think he's a good player. I don't think he makes a massive difference to them, and I don't want that to sound like I'm disparaging in a way of him, but I just don't think he adds a big, massive difference to them, which takes them on the next step. Obviously, the big concern for me with Arsenal is that they are able to keep going and keep going and keep going. And I think the most important thing for them to be able to do that is a real out-and-out boss striker, and I don't think a number 10 or a wide left player is going to do that. I do like him. I think he's a good player. I'm not sure he's a difference maker for them, though.
Next one that's down here I've got on the Mirror's website, John, and I think this is interesting because we were linked with Camavinga at the start of the week, and I think that we could all get enthused if Liverpool brought in Camavinga to play centre mid. But Man United have supposedly had an interest in Tchouaméni, and what is meant to have happened is they've found out what his wages are at Real Madrid, they've found out what his wage demands are to move, and they've gone, well, we don't think we can do that. Or don't want to do that. And I think that this is a bit of a thing. Every year, Tchouaméni and Camavinga are linked with moves away, and every year it seems to sort of fade, and it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if Real Madrid are a bit like, yeah, we're interested in offers for these lads. A couple of phone calls are made, and people are saying, how much a week?
Yeah.
and that's what's happening year in, year out.
Yeah, and I think that's why people are always a bit taken aback by transfer fees as well, like being a little bit lower for these players than would you expect. So if Tchouaméni moved this summer, he would go for less money than Elliot Anderson.
Yeah.
So if Elliot Anderson moves and Tchouaméni moves, then Elliot Anderson will cost more, and that will make some people's heads fall off. But even though Elliot Anderson would get weighed in, if you went to Manchester City, it would be nowhere near what Tchouaméni's on, and so you're looking at the financial outlay to take him on, for a considerable amount of time. In 3 years' time, you'll have forgotten what transfer fee you paid for the player, but you won't be forgetting what his wages on, because it's coming out your bank if you're a football club every month, and so you're in that position really where you're sort of having to pay it. It's harder to move him on if he is having problems, if he's not quite making the impact that he wants, So you're in that situation. So some of these players do get stuck, and I think that's where all top clubs need to be a little bit careful. Really, Manchester United have found that as well, with players just going, do you know what? No, I'll stay here.
Yep.
And I'm fine.
Bang into Franco's boys getting stuck with a few lads on high wages that he can't get rid of till the end of the contract, though.
But yeah, that's true. But the problem that you've got there, though, is that they're all good players.
They are.
So they keep the good players, but they're just a little bit like, we wouldn't mind maybe getting rid, not having quite as many of the same type. And yeah, that's what they end up being stuck with. But they're all good players.
I mean, I do wonder sometimes with footballers about this ambition thing, because loads of people talk about footballers with ambition and wanting to play, and obviously if you're at Madrid, then you will win some stuff. There's a lot of talk about Harvey Elliott recently. He wants to just go and play. Why would you want to go and play for someone else rather than stay at a club where you've got a chance of being in and around doing some stuff? So I can kind of understand why them lads would want to do that, but I do wonder sometimes with footballers, like, how much money do you fucking need? Like, really, at the end of the day, you're getting paid that much money, you're going to have money that's going to feed your kids and your grandkids and your grandkids' kids. Maybe sometimes they need, but it's been moving that way for years, hasn't it? All the money's been going to players. Everyone's been complaining about ticket prices and everything, that's the problem, but it's all been going to the players. None of it's been going anywhere else other than players. Talking about, I remember when we were discussed that someone was going to be earning £1 million a year not so long ago, and someone was doing it in a week.
Yeah, absolutely. 60 million, Leon, has been slapped on the target of Alex Scott, supposedly, according to Bournemouth. It's reported, obviously, that Arsenal, Manchester United, maybe Liverpool might be interested in 60 million. Actually, in a world where Elliot Anderson could be 130 million, doesn't seem that outrageous. But if you'd have said to me back in March, Alex Scott at the sum of £60 million, quid, I think I'd have gone, that's a bit overpriced.
It seems to be moving exponentially now with the numbers. Done it, Elliot Anderson a couple of years ago was a make weight so that Newcastle could do PSR numbers, and all of a sudden he's a £130 million player.
And Forrest have done well out of that, by the way.
Don't get me wrong, good player as well. He's a very good player. But, the numbers are just creeping up, and that's why, you look at Munoz the other day, 35 million seems like a good number for a lad who might be able to play some footy. I like Scott, think he's a good player. I don't think he makes a massive difference for us or any of the big six, but I'm happy to be, proven wrong on that basis. But it just seems to be the going rate for, not a bang average, that's a terrible thing to think or say, but for a decent player.
Next one down on the list today is Manu Coney. Remember him from a couple of seasons back? He went to Roma, and now he's very keen to join Arsenal and thinks there are claims that he has agreed personal terms with Arsenal, and the deal could be done there at around 40 million for him. I mean, I always quite like recurring characters and transfer windows.
How's he done out there?
Obviously quite well, yeah.
Yeah, pretty well if he's being linked with Arsenal. I mean, maybe we'll go back.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go back in and Gutman could talk about him again. I'm sure he'll love that. He loves the same lads.
The same lads over and over again.
You chewed them already.
Yeah, he's got the groundwork for it, all sorted out.
I wonder how many teams one player agrees personal terms with over the space of their contract and never signs for them. It just seems to be the easiest thing to do.
I am determined to find this out in the fullness of time. I've got a couple of things I'm trying to do in the next few weeks.
How many contracts have you verbally agreed in your career? That never even happened.
Has anyone's personal terms ever been a problem? Because they all seem to be no problem on personal terms.
Until you renew.
Well, Chouameni's was just before with Man United. It's worth saying that one happened quite quickly there. Gusto was supposedly wanted by City. John, it's worth saying that City are almost certainly going to have the manager who's worked with them before. But supposedly Chelsea are trying to ask for 75 million for a right back who now looks surplus to requirements. I mean, I think it's certainly a keen negotiating starting point there from Chelsea. I quite like Gusto. I think he's looked quite bright whenever I've caught him. I'm not convinced he's £75 million worth of footballer.
No. What I would say is Chelsea are good sellers. They do manage to sell well, and so it wouldn't surprise me if they do manage to get a good fee for him. They've got decent fees already this summer, and tend to do it every year. Sometimes they'll get 20 million quid for someone who's not even played for them yet. They've just been out at one of the feeder clubs and then moved on, and so they are good at generating the money from players. Whether they'll get 75 million for Gusto, even in an inflated market, I really doubt it. But it wouldn't surprise me, if they get something similar to what they've just paid for this sort of lad, and if they feel like that's an upgrade, then you've done well.
I'm waiting on Gusto, by the way. I kind of like him. I think he's got the ability to be a bit better, and he's got loads of wiggle room to improve. I like what I've seen of him, but yeah, 75 million seems a bit nuts for a right back.
It's hard to judge Chelsea players, certainly defenders, because you see one. Like I always thought was Disasi was quite good, and then suddenly he's completely bombed out.
Yep.
And so I thought he looked alright when he played against Liverpool. What's happened here? And so I think defensively, you seem to be either playing every game or not seen for 3 months. And he's been in a little bit of playing recently. Always seemed to do all right, but yeah, I find them all interchangeable and difficult to judge because that's how the manager treats them.
Do you not think it's a bit easy, this journalism thing, when it comes to transfer rumours? It's like a manager goes somewhere, so just think of a few players where he used to play, chuck them in the mix, and everyone's like, that's got credence. Well,
especially Chelsea, they've just bought a right back. He's probably not going to play now. Where could he go? The manager's over there.
100%. I think that's the way in which it works. Listen, what else? What came out yesterday? We had our first top 6 show that looked at Tottenham Hotspur. We've got more general transfer chat to come on that as well. We had the transfer trends where we went through wide forwards that Liverpool could buy. We recorded all of it before they actually bought one. He didn't come up on the list. We lost him quite early on the filtering process, but that doesn't mean he won't be good for Liverpool. Liverpool will be using other metrics. And we had the last of our In Their Shoes shows. What we also had yesterday was the first of our Friday show style callers coming in and letting us know what they're about, and the second one will be out very soon indeed. I'm about to go and speak to James Roach now, and then there's the next top 6 episode as well, that's to come. Talking transfers, who have you got today?
Don King. So
Excellent
Don
stuff.
King's coming in, meeting him in Brasco. Can I have a bit of lunch after?
Very nice. Touch of class. So John settling down there with Dom King. That'll be out later on today as well. Last time I was in London, I spoke to the excellent author Michael Calvin about his book about 1966. Not just about the World Cup in 1966, but about the state of the world in 1966, capturing that moment and contextualising it. It was an excellent conversation. It's an excellent book. And moving forward as well, we're doing Friday night today. It will be out tomorrow around lunchtime. So Friday night today and then out tomorrow around lunchtime. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much to Leon. Thank you very much to John. It's Breakfast Wrap finished for its third week as we get right the way through. We'll be back with you live next Tuesday. I have a bit of a funny feeling it's about 8:30 on Fridays. Like I should be doing something. I should be up to something right now. Why aren't I doing it? But we will be back on Tuesday. Looking back up by then, it will be settled as to where we are for the last 32. Thank you very much for Jordan. It's the first one he's done, you know.
Good job, George.
Look at him there.
Well, we've not seen it yet.
Yeah, we could be appalled, and we'd be on the side.
It's not even gone out.
Yeah, we don't know it's live.
He looks well over. He's pressing a few buttons.
Yeah, he carries it. He carries it absolutely manfully. So it's been splendid. It's been the Breakfast Wrap. See you later on.